There are things in life that you become exposed to or encounter or experience or read or hear that kind of stay with you and stick with you throughout the course of your life. There are moments and, different things that we get exposed to that kind of haunt you in a way. And there have been several that I have personally encountered in my journey to study methamphetamine. One in particular comes from the research that I collaborated on with a local police department. The forensic nurse had some data on children removed from methamphetamine homes, and it took me a period of years, but I was finally able to acquire the de-identified data. And each piece of data was really just a few sheets of paper. And sometimes in research, we look at data and forget that each data point or each data piece is linked to a human life, and in this case, children. Well, my earliest sample, the initial sample that I received, was from about 107 children that have been removed from methamphetamine homes over a period of years, maybe 2001 to 2010. And there were two sets of situations that have stayed with me over the years. And one was when there was, a research assistant who was helping to clean and code and analyze the data in the early stages, came one day and showed me a child's response to the question posed by the nurse about why the child had come in to see the nurse on that specific day. And it was about a 3-year-old child that had responded, "The house caught on fire and my cat jumped out of the window." And those are two very traumatic events. And for someone that was just very early in their verbal development, it was very powerful that here at this young age, this is the reality that this child was dealing with. And the other issue that from that particular data set came when we discovered that there were two young males, maybe 13 years old each, that had admitted to the nurse during the course of their, well-being checkup that they had been shooting up methamphetamine. And the reality of the situation is, children often get lost in the system, and because of privacy laws and because of the protection of children, we don't have really good follow-up of children, particularly drug-endangered children. And so the sad reality is that at the end of the day, nobody can tell me whatever happened to those two young men who had been admitted to shooting up meth when they had been removed from their homes at the ages of 13. In all likelihood, maybe they went into a stable family or were put with other family members or were reunited with the family members they had been separated from at the time of their medical examination. On the other hand, some of them may have continued to use methamphetamine, particularly in the absence of any intervention, and possibly become involved in a methamphetamine lifestyle and maybe later in the criminal justice system. And it's just tragic that we don't really do a better job making sure that the youngest people who are affected by the methamphetamine problem get the help and assistance that they need, or at least do a better job tracking it and following it up so that we can say with confidence, this child was helped this way. And the last situation I'll just briefly touch on was I was able to go on a ride-along for a pseudoephedrine sting operation once. It was an amazing experience. And I just remember there was a young child that had been removed from a car while his mother was getting arrested, and out they pulled all of the meth-related, legal materials for cooking meth. The fish tubing and the Drano and whatever else it was they were pulling out. And I just remember because while law enforcement was focused, and this is no criticism of them on their own, this is just the way it is. In those situations, they focus mostly on, the offender and trying to figure out if there's been an offense that has occurred. And I remember sitting in this car watching this young child that might have been 4 or 5 years old. And the child had been pulled out of the car and had just been told to either stand or sit on the grass, and was just sitting there watching all of this happen, watching things being taken out of the car and his mother eventually getting arrested. And I remember sitting in the car somewhat helplessly, just, wondering if we could do better. And is there a way to make sure that, somebody approaches that child and at least comforts them or acknowledges them or talks to them or removes them from the immediate situation so that any potential trauma might be minimized. And, I guess what I'll say is what I've learned over the course of all of these years is that we still have a long way to go, particularly when it comes to drug-endangered children.